Welcome to the Pharmacy Frontiers podcast. We're excited to come to you today with Dr. Kristen Riddle with her personal journey from local leadership to national leadership. Let me remind everyone that the Pharmacy Frontiers podcast is available for streaming on your favorite podcast streaming app, whether it's Apple, Podbean, Spotify, or YouTube. The Pharmacy Frontiers podcast is dedicated to the pharmacy profession. The comments and opinions shared today are those of myself, our guests, and are not official statements of the MPA, NCPA, Mercy, Mitchell Pharmacy, nor American Home Pharmacy. I'm Daniel Good. I'll serve as our co-host today along with Tim Mitchell. And today we welcome Kristen Riddle, the incoming president of NCPA and the owner and operator for the American Home Pharmacy in Little Rock, Arkansas. Welcome, Kristen.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Thank you, Tim.
Well, congratulations on your journey here through NCPA, and you'll be installed, am I right, in October? Is that right?
Yes.
As president-elect?
Yes. So I'm president-elect right now, and then I'll come on as president in October.
Tell us a little about that. What does that journey look like for someone that's working their way through the chairs for an NCPA leadership role?
Sure. So we start out with NCPA. You're in leadership, but you really don't even know it. You're just serving your profession. Just like Tim serves on our steering committees, and I did as well. For several years, I served on the compounding steering committee. I was actually a chair of that committee for several years before I was officially in leadership. I served my state in our state organization. And then there was a time where the NCPA leadership, the NCPA board invited me to come in and interview to be invited and to start the path as a NCPA vice president. So with the NCPA journey, that's where it starts, is just being involved locally, being involved in your state, being involved really wherever you're needed. And then we will begin as a vice president. And generally, most of us serve as an NCPA vice president for about 5 years. You're generally a committee chair, a steering committee chair during that time. And then the board service is 9 years. And during that time, your last 4 years, you're chair of the board, and then you're president-elect, you're president, and then you're immediate past president. And then
that sounds like a career there.
It's interesting. When we first got started, I would so encourage, especially female pharmacy owners, to be involved in leadership. When you first get started in this path, you think, my kids are little, I don't really know what to expect in the next 14 years, but it's been one of the most rewarding things I've ever done. And so again, just getting started with leadership in your state is so important, and then continuing on and just saying yes when you're asked, and be ready for whatever is out there for opportunities.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. I know I talked to Bill Osborne, and I'm friends with Jeff Harrell as well, who's the current president. And it's a good 15-year commitment, I think, to be able to get through from the beginning to the end. And, it's amazing. And you have to have the support of your family and children and husbands and wives and so forth. It's very, very, very big commitment, and it's very much needed. So anyhow, that's I appreciate you sharing that, because I think a lot of people don't realize, they think they just step right into the president role or something. So that's a big commitment, and I appreciate all you do. So one of the questions I wanted to ask you is kind of go through, I know we talked a little bit about your journey with NCPA, but let's step back just a little bit and kind of go through your personal journey. Tell us a little bit about who inspired, or what inspired you to go to pharmacy school? What inspired you to go into community pharmacy versus, and I think you're primarily into compounding, that versus other areas of the profession? So.
Sure. Well, I'm a second generation pharmacist, so I literally grew up behind the counter when
That's awesome.
my mom needed to run errands, and my brother and I, our job was to hang out with my dad while he was filling prescriptions. And at that time, they were still typing the labels out, and the auxiliary labels would get stuck on the floor. And so our job, I guess probably when we were misbehaving, we had to get down and scrape all the auxiliary labels up off the mats. And so that's just how I grew up. And when I went to college, and so I always talk with my undergrad students that want to go into pharmacy. When I went to college, I made a C in Chem 1. So at that point, I thought, well, clearly I can't be a pharmacist. If I make a C in Chem 1, I'm going to have to change my major. So I changed my major to many different majors, and actually took me 5 years to get my undergrad because I had so many different majors. But I graduated with a degree in dietetics, and then went to pharmacy school because I wanted to be a pharmacist. And so, which was a fantastic combination. I've very passionate about women's health, and being able to have that degree in dietetics has been a great blend. And went to the University of Arkansas College of Pharmacy. Absolutely loved it. I just think as pharmacists, we have the best profession in healthcare that there is. And I definitely think that for all of us as pharmacists, we should view what we have as an opportunity and a calling versus a career. And I feel like that's what pharmacy is.
I agree. Well, thank you. I learned some things about you I didn't know. So now you're in, or I guess when you got out of pharmacy school, then you went into wherever your dad was working. Is that correct?
That's right.
And that's the compounding pharmacy you're at now, or?
Yes. So I immediately started working with my dad, and worked with I started a wellness program, a weight loss program there in our pharmacy. I also worked with our women's health and with compounding, and continued in that compounding role. We ended up eventually splitting out our traditional retail and our compounding. Now we no longer have the compounding pharmacy, and where I'm at completely traditional pharmacy role with American Home Pharmacy. We are actually a combo shop, so medical at home and traditional retail.
Gotcha. Okay, that's cool.
And you've spent a fair amount of your volunteer time with the Arkansas Pharmacy Association, right? I think
I did.
Named the Pharmacist of the Year for Arkansas.
I was last year. I served on our executive committee. I've served on our board in different roles, but I had the opportunity to serve as president. And so with Arkansas, we have a 4-year executive committee opportunity for service. And so I was able to go through that path of leadership. Really during my service, when I was a when I was a vice president for NCPA, I was able to start that leadership path with the Arkansas Pharmacists Association. So some of my leadership was actually overlapping a bit.
So
sorry. I was going to say a little fact. 2020 was when I came into my presidency, and that was when we had Rutledge versus PCMA. So even though that was not my doing as president, I got to have the excitement of having a unanimous decision at the Supreme Court for our Arkansas case in the midst of a virtual. A virtual.
COVID like crazy then. Yeah.
It was exciting.
Yeah. Well, so Arkansas is really making a name for itself and really setting the bar for other states. I'm hopeful that Missouri can follow along with what Arkansas is doing. And the most recent legislation is pretty game changing for the profession. Tell us a little bit about what's been going on over the last year or two with
Sure.
the new Arkansas legislation. So,
absolutely. So that was House Bill 1150, and it is now Act 625. I'm so proud of our Arkansas leadership. So I think it was a very bold of our board and our leader, John Vincent, who's our CEO of the Arkansas Pharmacists Association, to take that. So our Representative Jeremiah Moore brought that before the House and went on to the Senate. And I'll never forget, I was in that Senate committee hearing, and it was really very intense. But came out of that committee, went to the floor, and it was so exciting to have that pass on the Senate floor. And then when it went to the governor, you really can only imagine the pressure she had to not sign that bill.
Sure.
And she did. She was very courageous. There were very powerful people that told her, do not sign this. And she came and talked to us with the Arkansas Pharmacists Association, and she would ask them, why do you not want me to sign this? And they said, well, if you sign it, then other states are going to do this. And she said, okay, I want access. Yeah, I want access for our patients. And just for people who may not know what Act 625 is, it does not allow a PBM to operate both as a PBM and as a pharmacy in our state. So they can choose.
The fox doesn't guard the hen house anymore.
That is right.
Right.
That is right. And the big three have actually brought lawsuits forward. And so we're in the midst of that right now. We have a amicus brief that NCPA is leading, and along with the Arkansas Pharmacists Association. It was written by Arkansas's Friday firm, which is a very respected law firm here in Arkansas, and also Catton, that's based in Washington, D.C., that's very well versed in writing amicus briefs. So we're ready.
What's Governor Sanders' thoughts on the lawsuits?
So she's ready for the fight. And our AG, Tim Griffin, as well. They are all, and they did their homework ahead of time. So how this works is the license for the pharmacy is managed at the State Board of Pharmacy level. So if you are a PBM, then the State Board of Pharmacy would not be able to license you. And as a state, we have the right to say who can be licensed in our state.
Absolutely. I think every state should follow that lead. I think that's a great option for states to be able to say, hey, you're not going to have your cake and eat it too. Because we've all seen the differences in reimbursements between self-referrals to their own pharmacies and then paying them more than what they're paying other pharmacies. So, and I remember them talking about that probably 5 years ago. It's like there's some discrepancy here and we got to fix this. So I appreciate you guys taking the lead on in the nation on getting things done and fighting and trying to keep the profession of pharmacy alive. So it's amazing.
And patient access. I think that is something that our governor, when she's been interviewed about this, that was so important for her. One of our key advocates for this was actually our cancer hospital system, CARTI, because they have so many patients that there is life-saving medications they absolutely have, and they are blocked out of networks because of the model that we have. And so they just begged our state, open this up. We need patient access.
So what was the trick? How did you make, because obviously the insurance company is a lobbying effort, right? And lots of pressure. So what was the secret ingredient there that was able to get the senators to hear the story and make that difference?
I don't, there really wasn't just one secret sauce here. Something that was very interesting that was really almost a negative on the lobbying efforts on the kind of searching for words. So I won't say any business names, but there was a large PBM that owns a large pharmacy chain that they sent emails from, well, let me back up. Emails went to many representatives' constituents, or excuse me, emails went from the constituent to the representative. and said, please do not vote for this. This is harmful. I do not want to lose access to this specific pharmacy. So then that's one specific representative that was in the House committee started calling the people that sent him emails. And every single one of them said, I never sent you an email. I don't know what you're talking about. I've never even heard of this. I don't know what you're talking about. And so after that, a bit of the sweater unraveled, because then senators, representatives, they started calling their constituents that were reaching out to them. Like, do you know about this? And they didn't. And so that was very upsetting to a lot of our leaders in the House and the Senate. So that's one thing. And then the other was just a matter of just facts. And we've got the Federal Trade Commission that has the study that came out, and a lot of the information from that study. We've got pharmacies that have closed. We've got this cancer hospital system that came forward and said, we've got to fix a patient access issue when patients are getting blocked out and being required to go to a PBM-owned pharmacy and mail order. And we had actually patient advocate moms. We had a mom that came and brought her child that was on specialty medications that was blocked from using her local pharmacy, and the medication for this rare disease was delivered via mail order and sat on the patient's front porch and ruined. I mean, just story after story after story. So it was not just one thing. It was many issues that finally it went forward.
Absolutely. Well, I think sounds like you had, your secret sauce was you had a lot of different angles to go after it. And I think that's what every state needs to do. It's a lot of work. It's not like it just happened overnight, right? I mean,
that's right.
You guys have been working on this for a long time. And, you know, states that think that, oh, we're just going to throw a bill together and do what Arkansas did, you got to do the homework, and you got to pull the people in to testify. You've got to convince the legislators what's going on. One thing that's different, unfortunately, in Missouri is we do have a large PBM in our state, so that's a little bit more of a challenge. But I do think the state of Missouri, the representatives and senators in our state are seeing what's going on, and they're in Arkansas and some surrounding states that are starting to wake up. And I think they're understanding, hey, that we need to probably do something as well. So that's good.
I agree.
Right.
I agree.
Well, that is amazing journey. So we thank you and your leadership, as well as the state leadership down there, and we wish you luck in defending some of those lawsuits that are coming this direction.
Yes, absolutely. But
now take us from this local breadbasket of America, Arkansas situation to the World Pharmacy Council. You express your influence far and wide now. Tell us about the World Pharmacy Council and what does it include?
Okay, so as president-elect of NCPA, I and the president of NCPA, each year they attend the World Pharmacy Council on the behalf of the United States of America. So it's pretty amazing.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool. So NCPA is the organization that actually sponsors the U.S. to be able to be part of the World Pharmacy Council. And we have countries across the world that it's basically the UN of pharmacy. So free trade nations that are a certain GDP, there's kind of a formula where the country qualifies to be part of the World Pharmacy Council. But so these countries come in together once a year. You have your name tag in front of you with your country's flag, and that is the case around the table. And so I had Jeff Harrell right beside me. Next to me was Israel. Next to Israel was Australia, then Japan, then Belgium. On the other side of Jeff, I'll just name a couple countries, but I could keep going all the way around. You had New Zealand all the way to the end of the table. There was Germany. Everybody speaks in English. And so there's a lot of, maybe there might be a different accent to that.
Right?
No, right?
Did they ask you what language you spoke?
A little bit. Yes. There were a few times I had to be really careful about how I said certain words because I won't even say it because sometimes it sounds like I'm saying something ugly whenever I say certain words. And they're like, whoa, what did you say? And so, but it is interesting. This is cute. So whenever Japan spoke, he had AI. There were screens in front of us that did he gave his presentation in English, but then when he was doing question and answer for his country, AI was translating for us, for him, our question, and then back to us in English. And so when the gentleman from the UK asked him questions, the AI translation couldn't get it. And then Australia just thought it was so funny. They're like, whoa, no, this is great. AI cannot understand the English. It was really cute. It was so cute.
English.
Yeah, and they got all the rest of us. They had no problem with anybody else, but it was the two gentlemen from the UK that it was like, it was really thrown off.
So what was the hot topic in the World Pharmacy Council this year? Did they have specific topics? I know every country does prescription stuff different.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about what the hot topic was. Maybe we can learn from other countries or they can learn from us.
That's right. And that's why we all come together and we spend and we work hard, sun up, sundown. We're in these meetings through the week. We each as a country get 10 to 15 minutes to present on what's going great in our country, what's happening in our country, and what our challenges are. And across the world, our challenges are reimbursement, scope of practice, and product, the ability to get the drugs in our doors so that we can get them to our patients. And so in the end, I had a chance to just speak for a second, just personally. And I told them that, it's so interesting in leadership. We come together in our state and we talk about scope of practice, product procurement, and reimbursement. And then you go nationally to a meeting and we're talking about those same things. And now worldwide, we have the same issues. A big difference, though, that the U.S. has that these other countries do not have is that we're really the only country that has PBMs. Canada was represented there, and they do have just a few PBM issues, but not like our payment structure. So when the U.S. is explaining what's happening, it's very much, we have to kind of review with everybody in the world what a PBM is. So then when we made a comment about GLP-1s being $1,000, the entire room gasped. And Israel, sitting beside me, wrote down they paid $177 for Ozempic. Yeah. And no one pays what we pay. Yeah. So ultimately, we know it's the rebate. We know what's happening there. But when I have people tell me, like our state chamber, for example, well, PBMs just decrease the cost of healthcare. No, they don't. No, they don't. You can look at healthcare across the world, and they do not. They increase across the world. We are paying the most, and that is why.
Yeah. It's shocking, really, when you start analyzing medications. And, you even look at the Inflation Reduction Act medications that are coming down the pike here in 26. Probably all of those are much less expensive in Canada or other countries that you talk to. And why is that? We all know why, except for employers don't really understand what's going on. Mm-hmm. They just think these PBMs are what reduce the price. So that's good. That's good. I've heard that Germany has one of the most innovative healthcare systems in the world. I don't know how they work. I don't know if you had a chance to talk to them, but maybe I'll pick your brain after the podcast and we can talk about Germany sometime. But anyhow.
Germany has some great things happening for sure.
Yeah. Well, and actually I just recently went on a trip to Europe, and it was interesting because my wife and I both got the sniffles and a cough, and I went to a pharmacy in Germany. and I couldn't get Robitussin DM at that pharmacy. I was like, okay, surely no. They're like, no, you have to see a doctor. I mean, they gave me some pills that had dextromethorphan in them, but I couldn't get the Robitussin DM, which was interesting.
It is. Wow. And I don't want to, I could talk about World Pharmacy Council for a long time, but I think something that is interesting that came back from one of the countries on that note, Portugal is actually using AI to predict flu trends. Oh. So at the local pharmacy, they will see what cold and flu medications are being, not what, but how, what the volume of cold and flu medications are being purchased at the local pharmacy. And that gives a trend to the local hospitals on the uptick. And they can now predict when the hospitals are going to have an increased surge in patients coming in with severe flu cases when there's major upticks in the local pharmacies. So we thought that was pretty fascinating.
That is impressive.
Pretty cool. Wow. Mm-hmm. Daniel, do you have any other questions you want to ask Kristen before we wrap up?
Well, Tim, let's have you ask your question, your final question.
Well, I'm not sure where we are at on time, but I should have given you a little heads up on this, but I didn't. So she's like, oh, great. What are we doing? I normally ask our guests to share something about themselves that might be interesting that not everyone knows about them. It doesn't have to be, any game changer type thing, but maybe a hobby or something you enjoy doing that maybe not everyone knows about, Kristen.
Sure. So, okay. Well, I'll go a couple of different directions with this. I'll first start with my hobby. My husband and I absolutely love to cook. And so even when we traveled for the World Pharmacy Council, while we were traveling, we took a cooking class. We do that a lot. When we're in another country, we'll take a cooking class there. Oh, cool. But we absolutely love to cook. And we're empty nesters now. And so now I come in from the pharmacy and he's already working on something and I'll join in. But our kids are all huge cooks. And so our kids all live, yes. So we've kind of been able to pass that. Oh, we love it. It just makes my heart so happy. That's amazing. So they all three live in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Our oldest has graduated. He works for an engineering firm there. Our other two are at the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville. The boys are the two oldest. They live together. Yes. We're big. And so they will actually cook for our daughter, and it's just precious. So it's a hobby that's blended across the family.
So I'll take it a step further. What's your favorite dish to prepare for your family or your husband?
This is not fancy, but we are known for quesadillas.
Oh,
in the Riddle house.
One of my favorites. One of my favorites.
We make breakfast quesadillas. We make lunch quesadillas. So whatever it is, we're basically going to make a quesadilla out of it.
All right.
But we have served
next NCPA conference.
Many quesadillas. Yes.
Like corn or flour.
So now
I do both. So yeah, I eat gluten-free. So mine are corn tortillas, but everybody else a lot of time will be flour tortillas.
Yeah. Another interesting fact about Kristen we didn't know. Yeah. So the NCPA convention is going to be in New Orleans, right?
Yes, that's right.
All right, cool.
We're pretty excited.
Yeah, we can have a little jambalaya with our quesadillas there or something.
Yes, right? Yes. New Orleans is definitely a foodie place, so we will not go hungry.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Daniel, you want to finish this out here?
Well, Kristen, thank you very much for joining us today on the Pharmacy Frontiers podcast. You are definitely a role model and you're an inspiration for many, from the Supreme Court rulings to the state PBM reforms. Your state and your leadership is definitely promoting and bringing pharmacy forward. We really appreciate that. And we want to wish you best of luck in your NCPA presidential year that's coming up very soon. So thank you for being with us. And we want to encourage our listeners that the Pharmacy Frontiers podcast is available on their favorite podcasting channel, and to go back and listen to the past podcasts so they can catch up with everything that's happening in this world of pharmacy that we're so pleased to be a part of. So until next time, remember, it's a good day to be in pharmacy.